Sexton have all the news and information to get you ready for today's game.
Into the end zone, touchdown!
The Publix Tailgate Show is brought to you by Baptist Health, Farah and Farah, Yucatan Guacamole, and by EverBank. The Publix Tailgate Show starts right now.
Hello and good evening. From the Hyundai Studios at EverBank Stadium in Jacksonville, I'm Brian Sexton along with Mike Dempsey, and we welcome you to the first hour of Primetime Publix.
What's up, Brian?
Primetime. It's good.
How are you?
Yeah, it feels good.
We wore our black so we could blend in as a nighttime.
Well, you told me that you've been wearing that for a couple weeks.
I'm undefeated in the black. Seriously, the Jags are 4-0 when I've worn the black this year. So
hold on to that shirt.
I'm not right. I'm not. I mean,
hold on to that shirt.
Now. Are you kidding me?
Our show is brought to you by Publix, where shopping is a pleasure. Saints and Jaguars, 8:15 kickoff from the Caesars Superdome in New Orleans. Couple of storylines before we get into some of the sound from the week. Short week, third game in 12 days. That is 2 continents, 6 time zones.
Yep.
You wonder if they're gutting it out tonight or if they've been able to manage and maintain some semblance of normal activity.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's really tough to tell. I don't know if it really impacted them that much last week, but it could be a cumulative effect, of another week on the road.
They didn't seem tired, right? And when you get to these Thursday night games and you go around the league, you'll find players in certain cities that will absolutely tell you how much they hate it. Richard Sherman, for years in Seattle, complained endlessly about the Thursday night game.
Hey, now Richard Sherman works on the Thursday night Amazon broadcast.
Isn't it funny how that one works? But this week, I encountered players in the locker room and said, there's nothing we can do about it. We might as well just go play.
Yeah, I mean, look, the Saints are on a short week as well. They just haven't as much long-distance travel. But really, the Jags, didn't have travel leading into the Buffalo game. They
Right.
were just there. So hopefully they're like you just said, there's nothing you can do about it.
Nope.
Go out and play a game. Those 3 are already in the bank now. You've got those 3 wins. So, the carrot is you get the extra days off coming up, then you get 1 game, then you get the bye week after that. So rest is on the horizon,
Right.
and how much better will it feel heading into these 10 days off with a 4-game winning
And
streak?
1 game in the next 23 days. So you go from intensity to a little bit of rest time. The head coach was asked this week if he liked the Thursday night game, if his team was ready for a Thursday night game. And apparently they didn't. Hold on 1 second here while I fire this one back up. They didn't seem all that upset about it. And I have lost my internet, Mike.
They're pretty quiet about it, as a matter of fact,
Yeah,
from what I understand.
They are very quiet about it. We are having an internet issue here. Doug Peterson said that he thought that his team, this team in particular, was ready for whatever came, that they were a resilient team that didn't spend a lot of time focused on what they couldn't do and instead were focused on what they could.
Yeah, I think that's believable. Doug Peterson.
We can't control the schedule, obviously. But I honestly don't think our team really cares that much about when and where and who we play. I mean, yes, you're guaranteed a home game after the London trip and all of that, which is great. But after that, I mean, yeah, you go to the next one. And I honestly believe that our players really don't pay much attention to that, nor do we. I mean, it's the schedule comes out in May and we see it and, we're excited for it.
And I think we've said enough
Great
about
opportunity.
it.
Yeah, look, the more you focus on it, the more it's going to become a story, right?
Okay.
But I got to believe that they looked at it and they're like, really? Come on. You don't focus on it beyond that, but I'm sure it wasn't the ideal scenario.
All right. And as we sit here at 10 after 5 Eastern time, we're about an hour and a half away from finding out whether Trevor Lawrence is going to play this evening.
Right.
And the word, if you believe the word, is that he's going to. Ed Werder reported that earlier today, that Doug Peterson expects his quarterback to play. We don't know for sure at this time, and neither did Trevor Lawrence when he spoke with the media yesterday.
This game is about toughness, and it's about, at times, playing through injuries. I think there's but it's also, you got to be smart, and the position that we're in, and because there's guys every week that have injuries and might sit out, might not play, and they're looking for the long haul of not just for themselves but also for the team, because you want your guys to be healthy in crunch time of the season down the stretch. So like I said, there's a lot of questions that you have to answer. There's not a right answer to any of them. I think some guys are more conservative when it comes to injuries, and some guys aren't. Some guys play through more, and some guys don't. So it depends who you are, what you're comfortable with. The biggest thing is you got to feel confident going out on that field, whether you decide to play or not. You got to feel comfortable with what you're doing and confident. You got to go play, because you can't play this game hesitating at all. So I think that's a question that obviously everyone asks themselves when they're dealing with anything.
Can Trevor Lawrence protect himself, and does he risk making this much worse simply by playing, right? I mean, you could get hurt because you're playing. You get hit. A guy completely healthy could have that happen to them. I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen here. I will say this. The idea that there's only an NFC game and it doesn't matter as much because of tiebreakers, it's true to some degree, Brian, but it's also a team that I feel like the Jags can beat based on the way these two teams are playing, so you don't want to squander that.
No, but could you go on the road? And I was one of those people that said, look, if it came down to that, I'd be willing to sit him third game in 12 days, right, on turf, a sticky turf perhaps, at the Superdome against an NFC opponent. My thinking is that I should be able to go in there and do what Cleveland did, right? With P.J. Walker, they beat the San Francisco 49ers. What the Jets did, without two starting corners, they beat Jalen Hurts and the Eagles.
Both of them at home, though.
Well, I agree, but I would think that you should be able, the way your defense is playing, the way that your running game is playing, put a veteran quarterback in there and be able to go at least compete and give yourself a chance to win. When I said that earlier this week, I didn't mean, hey, raise the white flag, give up.
Oh, I wasn't even suggesting you. It's been a common refrain this week. And I think there's no question. I think they'll be competitive if C.J. Beathard plays. I just think Trevor Lawrence gives them a better chance to win, right? So we don't know. Look, if the outcome is that C.J. Beathard plays and the Jags win, well, that's fantastic, because then you didn't expose Trevor Lawrence and you got the primary objective accomplished. But if he loses, you won't know how Trevor would have played. He could have played worse, right? I mean, it's possible. Anything's possible, but you're going to wonder if you let one get away.
So my question is, whose decision is this? Is this Trevor Lawrence's decision? Has he earned that right, like Patrick Mahomes has? Or is this the coach, the trainer, the doctor?
I think it's got to be Doug Peterson with influence from the medical staff. You can't give a 24-year-old guy the ability to overrule the doctors and say, I feel fine, no matter what your MRIs show or whatever the case. And you want that input from them. And look, what player is not, I guess there are a few around the league, but most players are going to do whatever they can. They'll lie about how hurt they are because they want to play. So this is a Doug Peterson decision to me, and with proper input from all parties.
All right. Moving along, this is a Thursday night game. It impacts everyone, not just Trevor Lawrence. And Foye Oluokun, the veteran linebacker, was asked this week, what does it take to be ready to play on Thursday?
That London period was – I'd never done it before, the whole stay overseas that long. I might have been the longest I've been overseas since I was a little kid. So that was pretty tough just because it was new. This Thursday, it's whoever embraces this week, whoever handles this week the best usually wins this game. Obviously with recovery and stuff, just trying to feel your best for Thursday, but really getting through that mental part of it, getting through the game plan and all that, trying to execute your best on Thursday is just the name of the game.
Yeah, look, Foye is playing very well right now. This is a thing that everyone around the league has had to get accustomed to, playing on Thursday nights. Nobody thinks it's ideal, but Foye is going to be a busy man tonight, I would think, with the return, it looks like, of Jamal Williams adding to that running back room. They'll have him and Alvin Kamara both together for the first time this year. And, of course, the rookie Kendre Miller has had his moments as well. And they utilize these guys a lot in the passing game as well. So they're going to be a lot of tackle opportunities for this linebacking core.
All right, let's go back to the offensive side. Mm-hmm. Did I get your thought? Do you think he plays?
I do think he plays, but, I mean, that's just an educated guess.
Yeah,
like
no,
a lot of people.
That's all we're doing.
Yeah.
Which is what we've been doing all week, right? Will he, won't he, should he, shouldn't he? We asked Cam Robinson, let's say he doesn't play. What changes with C.J. Beathard under center?
Well, both are very high. We trust C.J. He's been here for us for a couple of years now. We got all the faith and all the trust in him in the world. And if Trevor isn't able to go and if C.J. has to go, then our expectations are what we expect from ourselves offensively. And as a team, it doesn't change.
Look, they're going to score points, or at least they feel that way. They feel that Beathard can run the offense. He's a smart guy. He's been in this offense for a while. But there are just plays that he can't make that Trevor Lawrence can because he doesn't have the arm that Trevor Lawrence has. Trevor has the arm and the moxie to fit the ball into incredibly tight windows. We've seen it multiple times in his young career. And CJ just can't make some of those throws. That doesn't mean he can't be effective, but there is something that you will miss, clearly, if you're going from Lawrence to Beathard.
And one more from the offensive coordinator about what changes in the playbook when you put C.J. Beathard in, if you put C.J. Beathard in, instead of having your starting quarterback tonight.
You can run a lot of the same stuff, we feel like. And again, it's like any game. You tailor your approach to what defense you're seeing and how they play and what puts everybody, not just the quarterback, in the best possible position to have success.
Yeah, look, again, I think they'll call things the same, but it's when, Trevor will see something out there and he just won't even think about it, and he'll make a throw that you're like, what? He did what? Remember the one to Calvin Ridley where the two defenders collided this year, right? And the ball snuck through a half-inch window, right? And, Beathard's not even going to attempt that, and that's fine, right? We don't want him trying to be Trevor Lawrence. Just be C.J. Beathard if it comes to that.
All right, big stories sound from the beginning of the Publix Tailgate show. Much more ahead at the start of hour number 2 with J.P. Shadrick. But before we get there, a lot of ground to cover, including...
It's kind of all three phases, mentally, physically, and emotionally.
This week's Baptist Health player interview is tight end Evan Ingram. But up next, CBS Sports senior writer Pete Prisco. The Saints and Jags about 3 hours away. And you're enjoying the Publix Tailgate show here on Jaguars Radio.
As the official supermarket of the Jacksonville Jaguars, Publix is helping fans gear up for game day with the limited-time Jaguars sub. Piled high with hot deli chicken tenders, boar's head bacon, cheddar cheese, coleslaw, and barbecue mayonnaise on a white sub roll. The Jaguars sub is an easy, delicious meal for any fan. Make it an ultimate game day by ordering the Jaguars sub online for in-store pickup. Publix, where shopping is a pleasure.
We've spent a lot of time in our homes.
I'm on a Zoom call.
Dinner's ready.
But we've learned that when we love our home, it loves us right back. Now you can keep that love going when you install energy-efficient natural gas appliances and earn up to $1,925 in cash rebates. You'll love endless hot water, faster drying and cooking times, and ongoing savings and comfort. To learn more and how to qualify, visit peoplesgas.com/rebates.
The creamiest, dreamiest soft ice cream you get from Mr. Softee. For refreshing delight supreme, look for Mr. Softee. The milkshakes and the sundaes and the cones are such a treat. Look out for the ice cream stand, enjoy it from your seat. The creamiest, dreamiest soft ice cream you get from Mr. Softee. For refreshing delight supreme, look for Mr. Softee. S-O-F-T-E-E, Mr. Softee.
Hello, I'm Dan Fields. If you're in the market for a full-size 8-passenger SUV, look no further than the Defender 130. And with the Defender 90, the 110, and this 130, there's luxury in the right size for everyone. Right, Sammy?
Plus, when you buy or lease from Land Rover Jacksonville, you'll become a member of the Fields Amenities program with complimentary loaners, car washes, our cafe, and much more, all at no charge.
JEA is proud to be Northeast Florida's community-owned utility. So what does that mean? It means we serve our local customers, not investors. That we're always focused on keeping our costs as low as possible while exploring new ways to deliver clean, affordable energy and water. And that we invest in our people and infrastructure to deliver reliable, sustainable services. Because for 127 years, JEA has been here to serve you, and only you. JEA, your community, your utility.
You've been putting back a few, and a few becomes a few too many. For a moment, you think of calling for a ride, but nah, you live nearby. What's the worst that could happen? You get pulled over, your insurance goes up, you lose your license, you total your car, you kill someone. The results of driving drunk are tragic. That's why law enforcement is out there looking for impaired drivers to save lives. So if you think you're okay to drive after a few drinks, think again. Drive sober or get pulled over.
Paid for by FDOT.
Welcome back to the Publix Tailgate Show. Brian and Mike with you from the Hyundai Studios. Saints and Jaguars from the Superdome in New Orleans. Kickoff at 8:15. Love the Superdome.
That's all right.
I've always enjoyed that. I don't know why. I just have. It's got this element to it. Dark.
Probably a lot of history there. I don't know.
I don't know what it is. I've always thought that was a cool place to watch a game.
Yeah, it's a loud place to watch a game.
Yeah, it is.
I'll tell you that.
They were talking all week about getting ready for this one. We'll find out in an hour and a half or so. About 6:45 Eastern time, we anticipate getting the inactives, and we'll learn whether or not Trevor Lawrence is going for the Jaguars. And not just Trevor Lawrence, also Brandon Sheriff, who was listed as questionable. You'd like to have both in the lineup this evening. Sheriff in front, protecting his quarterback. Before we get there, though, a lot of ground to cover, including your weekly visit with Pete Prisco from CBS Sports.
And like a lot of the audio we'll hear tonight, when this conversation took place, still don't know the status of Trevor Lawrence officially at this point, but that's what we started off with Pete, and he weighed in on his thoughts on where things stand with Trevor.
I think he'll play, but Mike, I think when you look at the situation, he's going to be limited in his ability to move, and that's something that he's been a big part of his game. He's been able to get outside the pocket. They've got him on the move. He's run for some big plays, and so I think that's something to keep an eye on, is how limited will his mobility be. And that's a good defense. I mean, they can get after the quarterback, and so, yeah, you hope he can move to protect himself. But I do think he'll be able to play, and I think if he does, I think he's going to be just a little bit limited because of the brace.
Pete, overall, the offense put up a lot of points last week. We should be excited about that, second most in the NFL, yet the yardage was not exactly outstanding. A lot of that was short fields, though, set up by the defense. Just kind of where is the offense right now for this Jaguar team?
Yeah, I still don't think you've seen the best of it. I just don't. And yeah, the yardage numbers are misleading from a week ago because they did have so many short fields, and all you can do is ask them to turn those into points, and they did do that. But I think the situation is, they're not all the way there. There's progress. I mean, I think the interior of the offensive line played better last week. That's progress. The two tackles played better last week. That's progress. The big shots, you can still hit some of those down the field. You saw one to Kirk. I think those are coming. So it's not there yet, Mike, but it's coming.
All right, let's talk about Travis Etienne. Obviously he's had a nose for the end zone this year. He's forced a lot of missed tackles, but he's had an incredibly big workload as well, Pete. Do they need to be a little bit careful with him this early in the season leading the NFL in carries?
Yeah, I think they do. I mean, you drafted Bigsby in the third round with the idea you would help take some of that workload away from Travis. And I think when you look at some of those other guys might be able to get some carries and get in the mix. You don't want to wear him down for December and January. I mean, that's the worst thing that can happen. You got to be careful with that because we know, carries wear on the body. And any running back, and he said it, he wants the carries. He loves the carries. He wants more. But I think you have to be real careful with it, and they have to start giving those other guys more carries.
Let's talk about a couple of other rookies in addition to Tank Bigsby here. Brenton Strange got into the end zone last week. Do you think his role as a pass catcher will grow as the season goes on, or is it just going to be kind of sporadic? And what do you expect from Antonio Johnson defensively going forward?
Yeah, I think it's a little sporadic for Strange, but, the one thing, in the preseason, he was an outstanding blocker. He wasn't great to start the season. He's getting a little bit better. I think that, the game amped up a little bit. They ask him to do a lot of things, those wham blocks on the tackles. Those take a toll on your body. But seeing him run the way he did on that play, that was impressive. So maybe they get him spotty in there in the passing game, but you're not going to start throwing to him and take away from the other guys. Antonio Johnson will be an interesting, player to see what they use him for and how they use him, Mike. Well, is he going to be in the slot? Can he play safety? Where do you line him up? I think he's a versatile guy, and they love versatility.
All right, Pete, for tonight, what is the matchup that you think favors the Jags the most, and what's the one you're most concerned with?
I'm concerned of, blocking against that pass rush. Granderson's having a great year for them. He's one of those guys that's really stepped up for them. That defense is active in athletics, so I think that's a concern. The other one would be, the deep ball. When Carr is cooking, he can get that ball down the field. Now, he struggled with it last week. I think part of the problem is he still doesn't look all the way back. But they have the receivers and get down the field, so that's always a concern.
All right. So what about the Jags? What's the advantage that they have that the Saints need to be worried about?
Well, I think the way that defense is playing, I think Josh. We all question the pass rush. Josh Allen has answered a bunch of that.
Mm-hmm.
And, the one thing the Saints want to do, they want to get Kamara going, but Jacksonville's been really good against the run. I think that's a big advantage. And then I think when you look at their ability to run the ball, I think that's going to be something they have to get established. I think they can get established.
All right, Pete, bottom line, do the Jags get the win tonight?
Short week, tough team, tough environment, hard to do, but, and a banged-up quarterback. But I still think they're the better team, and I still think they find a way to win the game, Mike. I do. I think it'll be close. It might not be pretty. It might be a little bit ugly and disjointed at times, but I think they'll find a way to win the game.
Well, I hope he's right about that, Brian, obviously. And then as the interview was going along, a guy we didn't talk nearly as much about this week, Tyson Campbell.
I was
being
just
out.
going there.
It would be the headline story if it weren't for the will he, won't he about Trevor Lawrence.
And especially when you consider that Montaric Brown, who was the first on the field after Tyson was injured last week, really struggled with a big receiver by Michael Pittman, who's 6'4". I don't think I think he's slightly above average, right? But he's big and he's long. Well, Michael Thomas might not be the Michael Thomas that we all remember, but he's tall. He's got long arms.
Yep.
Right. So Tavon Campbell was activated a couple of hours ago. So you've got a veteran guy who's been on the practice squad, who's been working with them. But that's an injury that you hope that you've got him back in a couple weeks when you got George Pickens and the Steelers.
No doubt. And by that time, Deontay Johnson might be back as well.
Yeah.
So,
that's a significant injury. It's a significant position. And Tyson Campbell was playing at a really high level
you got your top corner, your top offensive lineman, one of your top targets in Zay Jones for Trevor Lawrence, and a gimpy quarterback. Let's hope he's not gimpy.
So if you're a good football team, do you win tonight?
I think you still can, right? I mean, that's why they play the game. But I picked the Jags to win this game with or without Trevor Lawrence, but I think it's going to be close either way.
Well, let me tell you, a guy that I believe is going to be really involved and important tonight, regardless of who the quarterback is tight end Evan Ingram. Isn't he always? He is this week's Baptist Health and Jacksonville Orthopedic Institute interview, and it's they're the official sports medicine provider of the Jaguars. Well, he's done it before. The Jaguars are about to play their third game in 12 days, which he's done, but not on 2 continents and spanning 6 time zones. And no one's ever played 2 games in London and returned to play a home game, then a road Thursday nighter. Got all that? Still, he's confident that he knows what to do to be ready for tonight.
Just lock in mentally, honestly. The coaches do a good job of, simplifying the game plan. So it's not, as much homework and not as much, in the books. We kind of know our game plan. We've ran these plays a lot, so they've simplified it, but we're still, aggressive and attacking them. But it's all mental and physical. Getting your body back around, doing a little bit extra, getting your sleep. And coach is doing a good job of our schedule. We put the time in, but also getting a lot of rest time. So it's kind of all 3 phases, mentally, physically, and emotionally. It's a quick turnaround. You come off a great win on Sunday. You got to get ready to go mentally and emotionally, too, for that Thursday.
How does the uncertainty at quarterback affect you guys? Does it, if there was a week to have it, would it be this week where it's so short and quick turnaround anyway?
Yeah, I mean, it's tough anytime you see our leader go down. And I'm not, 100%. But CJ's been locked in since, he was here before I got here, but since day one I've been here, he's been locked in, and he prepares like he's playing each and every week. So there's not a lot of drop-off preparation-wise. CJ's a smart player. He's a smart veteran. He's seen a lot. He's been great helping with Trevor and his development. And you see how he plays in the preseason when he gets his opportunity. He's a gunslinger. He takes shots. So we feel confident about CJ, and, we're putting all the work in this week. And he's been due for a moment for himself, too. So obviously, Trevor can be healthy and go. That's going to be awesome. But if it's CJ, we're just as confident in him.
That's this league, right? I mean, last week, P.J. Walker leads the Browns to a win over the Niners. Who? And Sauce Gardner doesn't play, nor D.J. Reed for the Jets against Jalen Hurts and the Eagles. You just have to have that next man up mentality, don't you?
And that's the standards we have around here, just the culture we build. Everybody's ready to play. Everybody's ready to go make an impact.
Is that trust? I mean, is that really, when you talk about culture, you're building a culture where you trust the guy next to you?
Trust and accountability. Kenny, I trust you to put the work in and be ready if something were to happen to the next guy. Trust too is like, especially our young team. Our team is so young; they haven't really seen that much. But credit to Doug and the staff. That's kind of what we preach around here.
4-2, 3 consecutive wins. The defense is playing lights out. The offense has its moments. How do you feel about that? Do you feel like, okay, the offense is coming, we're going to get it, you know you're going to get there? Or is there pressure on you guys because you know what you're capable of?
No pressure. We always work with a sense of urgency, and I mean, we strive for perfection. We're never going to be perfect, but the closer we can get, the better we're going to be. So defense damn near is close, but we as offense, we're gaining confidence. We're finding our groove. Still some things to clean up, still some things that we can be better at, but I think we're heading in the right direction for sure.
How much fun is this for you? I know it was fun last year at the second half of the season. How much fun is it for the attitude and the edge that this team is developing? The character, right? I mean, that's got to be fun to play around.
Yeah, no, it's I'm definitely haven't seen that much of it in my career, so it's definitely rubbing off on me in the right way, and obviously we didn't start how we wanted to. I think that Houston game really, punched us in the mouth and woke everybody up, and we've been feeding off of each other ever since then. So it's been awesome to be around. It's just makes coming into work that much more fun and that much more, ready to attack, honestly.
Final thought. The weekend's going to be sweet because you guys have been grinding. How much sweeter will it be with a win? I mean, will you just sleep all weekend?
That's all that matters. We get the win, the weekend is going to take care of itself. So that's what we're focused. The win will make the weekend for sure.
When you talk to Evan Ingram, he talks about how much work it takes to win in this league, and he obviously knows. I was listening to your show earlier today. You had Michael DeRocco on. He was talking about his article in ESPN. If you haven't seen it, I would encourage you to go read it. This is the story of a guy who has recreated himself in Jacksonville.
No doubt. I mean, he had the reputation as being always injured and couldn't hang on to the football when he left the New York Giants. I mean, the fan base wanted nothing to do with him, basically, at that point. They kind of like, oh, that's who you think you're going to help turn around your tight end room? And, well, Evan Ingram came in here, and when you talk about hard work, he's renowned as one of the hardest workers on this entire roster. And so he puts in the time after practice with Trevor Lawrence. They built a good chemistry. I didn't have Brenton Strange scoring before Evan Ingram on my bingo card this year, but look, Evan Ingram had a big second half of the year last year. I think that's still to come.
And I think he's going to have a big night tonight, no matter who the quarterback is, for the Jaguars to move the chains, to be good on third down, which they were 2 weeks ago in the win over the Bills, but not as efficient last week in the win over the Colts. Okay, much more to come here on the first hour of the Publix Tailgate Show, including...
Well, the good thing with our guys, if you see both CJ and Nathan, as Trevor's going through every rep, they're back there taking their drops, mentally going through things.
That's quarterbacks coach Mike McCoy, who had a busy week. We don't know officially who will start at quarterback this evening, but we'll talk about all the possibilities with him when we continue here on the Publix Tailgate Show on Jaguars Radio.
As the official supermarket of the Jacksonville Jaguars, Publix is helping fans gear up for game day with the limited-time Jaguars sub. Piled high with hot deli chicken tenders, boar's head bacon, cheddar cheese, coleslaw, and barbecue mayonnaise on a white sub roll. The Jaguars sub is an easy, delicious meal for any fan. Make it an ultimate game day by ordering the Jaguars sub online for in-store pickup. Publix, where shopping is a pleasure.
Touchdown at Jaguars away games when you fly nonstop from Jacksonville International Airport. Join the Jaguars in New Orleans and Pittsburgh. Watch them win in Houston and Nashville. All the other Jaguars games are just one short connection away. And if airport parking has you stressed, be sure to visit the Jax Airport website before traveling to the terminal. On it, you'll find information about the status of on-airport parking in real time. See if your favorite areas are available or if you need to call an audible. Visit flyjax.com for more information. Ever wish you could make your Mondays go a little smoother? Here's a pro tip. Order online to dodge the line and kick off your week with free Coffee Mondays. Every Monday through October 30th, Dunkin' Rewards members can get a free medium hot or iced coffee with any purchase. And you get to earn points to spend on even more free Dunkin'.
The official supermarket of the Jacksonville Jaguars, Publix is helping fans gear up for game day with the limited-time Jaguars sub.
Jaguars run on
Piled
Dunkin'.
high with hot deli.
More free Dunkin'.
The official supermarket of the Jacksonville Jaguars, Publix is
a very limited-time offer.
You say there's nothing quite like the feel of the open road when you ride a motorcycle. You know it takes concentration, knowledge, and skills beyond those required to drive a car. Ride Smart Florida would like to take this opportunity to remind you to enjoy the road, but to always ride smart. S-M-A-R-T. Say no to drinking and riding. Make yourself more visible to motorists. Always wear your helmet. Ride in control. Train regularly and get endorsed. Visit ridesmartflorida.com for more details. Do you ride smart? This message is provided by the Florida Department of Transportation.
Frank Frangie here. When you want barbecue in Jacksonville, you want Bono's Pit Barbecue. You can find Bono's locations all around town and on game day at EverBank Stadium because Bono's is the official barbecue of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Over 70 years of authentic Southern Pit Barbecue. We are the local barbecue joint in BBQval for generations of people in Jacksonville. Go to bonosbarbq.com to learn more or call 904-880-8310 today. And remember, if you don't see a pit, it ain't legit.
Flight by Yingling. It's the next generation of light beer. For those who don't follow trends, but craft them. Flight by Yingling is 12 ounces of uncompromised refreshment from America's oldest brewery. With only 2.6 grams of carbs and 95 calories, this is premium refreshment 6 generations in the making. Don't just raise a glass. Raise the bar. Flight by Yingling. Available wherever beer is sold. DG Yingling & Son Incorporated. Pottsville, Pennsylvania. Please enjoy responsibly.
Welcome back to the Publix Tailgate Show. Publix, where shopping is a pleasure. Saints and Jaguars set for Week 7 from the Superdome in New Orleans. Brian and Mike with you for the Hyundai Studios, and it's time now for our weekly commentary from Rick Ballou.
Will he or won't he? He will. He's going to play tonight. At least that's my thought. Trevor Lawrence, the left knee. Everyone's had an opinion on it, including whether or not he plays and why did this happen? How did this happen? Doug Peterson, I thought, answered it brilliantly this past Monday. He said, hey, it's on me. It's on the offensive coaches. We got to do a better job communicating. But he also said it's on the player. In this case, Trevor Lawrence should have known, take a short sack or throw the football away. I thought the way Peterson answered this question was about as good as anyone could have. Doug Peterson continues to impress when asked questions, and this is what separates him from so many other former coaches here in Jacksonville, as well as other current coaches throughout the National Football League. Trevor Lawrence is so many things, including very intelligent. It's on him, in my opinion. He should have made the better decision. Tonight, he plays, and look for them to throw short passes. Expect a monster game for Evan Ingram. I also think Brenton Strange gets a little bit more involved after his success last Sunday. Travis Etienne leads the NFL in carries. That's something I didn't think I would ever say. However, they're going to need a compliment here, maybe as early as tonight, certainly throughout the course of the rest of the season. Does Tank Bigsby get more of an opportunity? He was a third-round draft pick. He's not going away. Too many egos are involved. Expect him to get the ball sooner or perhaps later. What about Dearness Johnson? He's looked good in a very limited role. Does he get that opportunity perhaps tonight as well? Only time will tell. Both teams are really beaten up. Probably going to come down to what particular team makes the biggest mistake. Yeah, I have a feeling that that's the way it's going to go. Kind of an ugly game where who knows, could be the first one. The 21, the Jags remain solid with their defense at 20 a game, and the Saints are only allowing 16 a contest. One other note for Trevor Lawrence as we go back to him, he's never won in the Superdome. He lost to Ohio State, and he lost to LSU. So personally, for the quarterback here in Jacksonville, this is a big game, no question about it.
All right, the quarterback, the story all week long, and it will be up until about 6:45 when we expect to get word, will he start or won't he start? And if he doesn't start, are they ready with C.J. Beathard? So I grabbed quarterbacks coach Mike McCoy, and he told me earlier this week he's ready for whatever happens. The former head coach of the Chargers and longtime quarterback whisperer has been there and done that. He's worked overtime this week to get Trevor ready to play in case he's ready, and backup C.J. Beathard ready in case he can't. I asked him about the process with both men.
Just that it's the next week up. He's played plenty in the system. Trevor's done a great job of preparing him. And just like everybody else, we're on a short week, and it's mental for everybody, not just the quarterback, but everybody else on the football team, and the way Coach makes the most of each day with these players getting ready for Thursday night. So we'll all be ready to go.
And then the opposite is, how do you get a guy ready when he hasn't played at all this season to go on a Thursday night?
Well, we've got, a backup who's been in the league a long time and knows how to do it in C.J. Beathard. So he is unbelievable out here. He's great for Trevor. Since the very first meeting we had together as a quarterback unit, just his leadership in the room and understanding his role, all through the offseason program, through training camp, the way he runs the huddle when he's in there. He understands, the most important thing is he understands his role in the team.
How do you take the mental approach to the game and get a quarterback ready to go? Is it more film room? Is it more walkthrough? How do the mental reps work for a quarterback?
Well, the good thing with our guys, if you see both CJ and Nathan, as Trevor's going through every rep, they're back there taking their drops, mentally going through things. If you sat in our film room with those guys, CJ asks as many questions as everybody else in the room. And he's a professional. And Nathan's learning, from these two guys.
How's the dynamic in the room? Those guys have been together for a couple of years now. That's got to be really valuable for you.
I'm the luckiest person in the world. I mean, I love my job. I love coming to work every day. And it's because of those three guys and the rest of the staff and the players and the entire organization. We got a special group. The culture's unbelievable here. But just walking in that meeting room every day, not just talking football, but talking about families, life, and we enjoy spending time together.
How challenging is this to go overseas and play 2 games, unknown territory to come back, and then have 3 games in essentially 12 days?
Well, I think Doug has done an outstanding job with the football team. From the very first day, we got on that plane that one Thursday a couple weeks back, and Doug's plan for the entire team for the next couple weeks leading up to the short week here, he's really made the most of every minute with every minute we've had with the team and the players, taking advantage of the schedule that we've had. And that's what it's all about, taking care of the players, making sure they're ready when you kick off.
And from your experience, how do you get more consistency, especially on 3rd down? Because that seems to have been the stop-start point for this offense so far.
Well, there's different reasons for the pluses and minuses in every game, and that's definitely one area as an offense we know we have to improve on.
Do you enjoy playing in environments like the Superdome?
You love it. You love going on the you go on the road. It's you against the world, and you have your football team, and that's what you go into those places, and it's an unbelievable place. Having been in Carolina for 9 years, going there every year. I understand where we're going and the great tradition they have there. And, I'm best friends with Dennis Allen, so I know all about him.
And finally, how much will you enjoy the weekend before you have to get back to it next week? How much will everyone enjoy it after this grind that you've been through?
Well, it's going to be nice, to take a deep breath, get away from for a little bit. But, hey, we're not even worried about that right now. We've got to go on the road and get a victory. That's the most important thing right now, and then we'll enjoy the weekend after that.
Really a valuable guy for head coach Doug Peterson, former head coach, a guy that they were in the same quarterback room with Brett Favre in Green Bay way back in the day, and then a guy in that locker room, quarterback's room, really, who understands how a guy has to prepare to get ready, especially on a short week.
Yeah, I mean, he's valuable for Doug Peterson. He's exceptionally valuable for Trevor Lawrence, right? I mean, that's what Doug has done that is really smart is since he got his hands on this organization, this coaching staff, he has brought in a bunch of former quarterbacks, including himself, to surround this guy, Trevor Lawrence, with these guys. An invaluable resource, and I think Trevor would tell you that himself.
We laughed as we walked off the practice field because he had Peyton Manning, who rarely missed a game, rarely. And he had Phillip Rivers, who rarely missed a game. And here he is now having to get 2 quarterbacks ready in the span of 3 days. He said there's not a lot of things he hasn't done in the NFL, but that touches on it.
Yeah, Phillip Rivers infamously played a playoff game with a torn ACL. Of course, this is not a playoff game. And Peyton Manning is the guy who is the one you could learn the most from in terms of protecting yourself. Peyton, if it wasn't there, he wasn't going to let you hit him. He was going to go down the heap and live to fight another down.
All right, folks, if you're looking for the MVP of the truck game, then look no further than Ford F-150. It's loaded with impressive capability and designed to dominate work, play, and everything in between. This truck makes tough look easy. Your local Ford dealer is a proud partner of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Again, the big story, which we expect to find out in a little more than an hour, will Trevor Lawrence be able to play with the knee injury that he suffered at the end of the game against the Colts on Sunday? He's been positive about it all week. There are various reports out there, but we won't know until 90 minutes before kickoff when the Jaguars have to provide their inactive list to the league. So stay tuned for that. It'll come up in hour number 2, as will JP Shadrick. But before we get there, Jeff Lageman and Tony Boselli join us from the booth. The Saints and Jaguars kick off at 8:15 in Week 7. You're listening to the Publix Tailgate Show on Jaguars Radio.
As the official supermarket of the Jacksonville Jaguars, Publix is helping fans gear up for game day with the limited-time Jaguars sub. Piled high with hot deli chicken tenders, boar's head bacon, cheddar cheese, coleslaw, and barbecue mayonnaise on a white sub roll. The Jaguar sub is an easy, delicious meal for any fan. Make it an ultimate game day by ordering the Jaguar sub online for in-store pickup. Publix, where shopping is a pleasure.
You've been putting back a few, and a few becomes a few too many. For a moment, you think of calling for a ride, but nah, you live nearby. What's the worst that could happen? You get pulled over, your insurance goes up, you lose your license, you total your car, you kill someone. The results of driving drunk are tragic. That's why law enforcement is out there looking for impaired drivers to save lives. So if you think you're okay to drive after a few drinks, think again. Drive sober or get pulled over.
Paid for by FDOT.
JEA is proud to be Northeast Florida's community-owned utility. So what does that mean? It means we serve our local customers, not investors. That we're always focused on keeping our costs as low as possible while exploring new ways to deliver clean, affordable energy and water. And that we invest in our people and infrastructure to deliver reliable, sustainable services. Because for 127 years, JEA has been here to serve you, and only you. JEA, your community, your utility.
Hello, I'm Dan Fields. If you're in the market for a full-size 8-passenger SUV, look no further than the Defender 130. And with the Defender 90, the 110, and this 130, there's luxury in the right size for everyone. Right, Sammy?
Plus, when you buy or lease from Land Rover Jacksonville, you'll become a member of the Fields Amenities program with complimentary loaners, car washes, our cafe, and much more, all at no charge.
The creamiest, dreamiest, soft ice cream you get from Mr. Softy. For a refreshing delight supreme, look for Mr. Softy. The milkshakes and the sundaes and the cones are such a treat. Look out for the ice cream stand, enjoy it from your seat. The creamiest, dreamiest, soft ice cream you get from Mr. Softy. For a refreshing delight supreme, look for Mr. Softy. S-O-F-T-E-E, Mr. Softy.
When you show your home love with a natural gas water heater, it loves you right back with more cost-efficient, endless hot water.
Hon, hurry it up, please.
And right now, you'll love earning a cash rebate up to $700 when you install an energy-efficient natural gas water heater.
We're going to be late. Again.
What? Did you say something, hon?
To learn more and how to qualify, visit peoplesgas.com/rebates.
Welcome back to the Publix Tailgate Show, final segment of Hour 1. Publix, where shopping is a pleasure. Brian and Mike with you from the Hyundai Studios at EverBank Stadium in Jacksonville. Saints and Jags coming up from the Superdome a little more than 2 hours from now. And it's time now for the first rounds on us.
New York Jets, first-round choice, Jeff Lageman.
The Jacksonville Jaguars have selected tackle Southern California, Tony Boselli.
And we welcome in from the broadcast booth at the Caesars Superdome, Jeff Lageman and Tony Boselli. Fellas, how are you this evening?
A little chilly right now. They got to turn the air conditioning down inside the dome.
You are so soft.
I know.
I think it's beautiful. Well, you know, some of us didn't ride the bus. Like Jeff rode the bus. I walked here, Brian, so got a little workout in, so the air conditioning doesn't bother me.
I can tell you, Brian, Bourbon Street smells the same.
All right, guys.
How'd that go? Was that the intro you were looking for?
Just wanted to throw that out there for you, Brian, in case you were wondering.
No, I appreciate that. Thanks, Jeff. I can count on you, pal. So time for UF Health finding solutions. UF Health delivering compassionate care and world-class outcomes. That's our game plan. Guys, there's all sorts of reports about the quarterback's availability. Most of them seem favorable to the Jaguars this evening. So let's just work from the assumption that he will play tonight. What's your game plan for him? Is the entire playbook open? Do you run the ball more? How do you handle a quarterback who is playing with a knee injury for the first time in his career?
Well, I think a lot of that depends on how the game, kind of the flow of the game. I think ideally you want to lean on the run game, quick passing attacks and play action. Probably limit the boots. They're a big boot, move the pocket team.
No boots.
Limit that so he's not out there, in the open field. And try to get the ball out of his hand. And it means everyone around him has to have a big night. Offensive line, anytime you're an offensive lineman, you got to beat up quarterback, you got to focus even more. I mean, the onus is on you to make sure he doesn't get touched. And then receivers be crisp, get open quicker, and then you need a big night from ETN and those other two backs, whether it's Bigsby or Johnson. So, but here's the thing, Brian. If all of a sudden you find yourself down, you got to ask yourself the question, if you're on the sideline, Doug Peterson and Press Taylor, do we open it up? We might put our quarterback in a little bit of harm's way, but do we open it up and try to get back in this? So hopefully that's not the case. Hopefully they can stay, on schedule. And if they do that, I think they'll be fine.
I can't believe you didn't go to the offensive line, so let me.
I did start. I said the offensive line.
To me, that's what this game is all about. I mean, if your quarterback is hurt, I don't care what you call. I mean, the offensive line has to play better.
I think I just said that.
Well, I mean, that's the focus. You're talking about play calling and all this.
Well, it does matter. The play calling matters because they've been a big.
You're such an offensive line
apologist. No, I'm not. I said the offensive line has to play their best. I said play calling matters, Jeff, because they're a heavy boot team. I can't see them running that many boots with Trevor in that knee.
No, I agree with you. And the offensive line, again, I'm just going to reemphasize it. Here's the positive thing, okay?
Yes.
They played better last week. Okay, I'm not saying it was great.
In pass protection, yes.
Yes. In
run
pass protection,
blocking was a little.
Yeah, it wasn't where you want it to be. But, I mean, look, they got better last week. I thought the rookie played well.
I agree with you there.
Cam played well. Shatley got better. I mean, so those are all positives for Trevor. But, again, like Tony said, he's dead on. Everybody's got to raise their level of play around the quarterback. And, look, hopefully the defense does a really good job to where you have a lot of possessions and you feel comfortable with handing the ball off, and all of a sudden the other way around, where if all of a sudden you're not getting your possessions, you feel a little bit more sense of urgency. A sense of urgency would be like the worst thing you could have in a game like today with your quarterback having a knee.
So, guys, if there is more of a reliance needed on the running game tonight, do we need to see these other backs mixed in more significantly? Right? I mean, leading the league in carries for ETN. He takes a lot of big shots. What are your thoughts?
Well, Mike, I know you're a big fan of the Monday night show that Prisco and I do on 1010.
Always catch it, Tony.
Always catch it. I know you never miss it. It's that's something we talked about. I brought it up. Is a big, not a huge concern, but like something you have to pay attention to. Travis Etienne leading the league in attempts. He has a bunch of. That's not even counting the catches that he has. So a number of touches throughout every game, and like last week would have been a perfect opportunity when you had the big lead in the second half to just run Bigsby and D'Ernest Johnson. They did not do that. And so I'm not sure tonight's the night you take the load off Travis because you have a beat-up quarterback. But down the stretch, Mike, I agree with you 100%. You have to get Bigsby and Johnson going because you can't ask. I think he's on track right now for almost 400 touches for the entire year.
I'd love to see him get the same amount of touches, but to have some come from the passing game, okay? And because he's so good in space. And I think you got some great matchup opportunities against the Saints with their linebackers if you can get him in space, because the Saints play a ton of man coverage. But, I think you guys are all right in that you've got to be able to spread some of the abuse and some of the carries around. But then again, in order to do that, you got to put plays together and make first downs and have a good offense. And right now the offense is still a little bit clunky.
All right, guys, so we saw in week 3, Houston came in with a bunch of offensive line injuries, and the Jags pass rush did not take advantage of it. Tonight, New Orleans is going to be missing several key players on their offensive line. Do you think they're better positioned, the Jags are, that is, to take advantage of it with the pass rush?
Well, I hope so, Mike. I mean, they've got Andrews Pete playing left tackle, supposedly, and that puts Trevor Penning on the bench, who was a first-round pick last year. James Hurst played there last week. Looks like Tommy Kramer, who was signed off the practice squad, is going to get the start at left guard. They've got a really good center, by the way. Ruiz at right guard, and then the right tackle is going to be Cam Irvin, who was a practice squad elevation. Yeah, absolutely. They should have a productive day against an offensive line that has really no kind of continuity whatsoever. I mean, that's been a problem for the New Orleans offense basically all season long. Last week they got more injuries, but yeah, I mean, somebody else has to raise their level of play. I mean, besides Josh, I mean, somebody has to be that guy, and we keep hoping that it might be Trayvon, and he's been solid. I thought he was solid last week, but I want to see him have a breakout game, a game in which he just beats somebody up, and hopefully it's tonight.
Yeah, Mike, the one thing I would add, I think, that Houston game was when, if I'm not mistaken, is when Josh got hurt. And the shoulder, obviously bothered him that whole game. So he was not at his best. Since that game, they've played him predominantly at right end, where he is a better rusher at right end. And they did that because of the injury, and I think it was a blessing in disguise, the injury, because it forced him to put Josh where he's at his best. And he's had 3 great games. And so that is going to be a big difference tonight, in my opinion, from what we saw in Houston. I expect Josh to dominate. Jeff's right. Someone else has to step up. I'd love it to be Trayvon as well. But I'm actually looking at Dwan Smoot as a new body they did not have. He's still not going to be all the way back where we saw when he was playing really good football last year. But if you watch the tape last week, he's one of those guys that just finds a way to get on the edge of people. And I think after one game, now this is the second game, Cam Irving, former Florida State player, being brought up from practice squad, maybe he can get something going a little bit to add to add some pressure.
I hope so. They need more help.
Yeah.
All right, guys, if it weren't for the Trevor Lawrence knee issue, Tyson Campbell's absence would have been a bigger story this week. It's still a big story. How much does that manifest itself tonight with this Saints passing attack?
I think it's big. Look, he's one of your best players. And anytime you're missing one of your best players, it's a significant drop-off. And we saw that with Monteric Brown last week. Now you got the practice squad elevation. Tavon Campbell, could he take some reps, or could Trey Herndon take some reps? I got a feeling that Trey Herndon's going to stay at nickel. And I think that Tavon Campbell and Monteric Brown will get the majority of the bulk of the work at Tyson's spot, at that corner spot.
Jeff, would you move out on first and second down Trey Herndon to that outside when they're in base personnel, and then kick him back in the nickel when they go sub?
No, he's been so good just focusing on nickel. I would be more likely to leave him in that position because he's been really good.
He's been really good. But that's my point. But I think he's your next best corner regardless. And so you get him on the field first and second down when they're in base, and then kick him the nickel.
I like continuity.
Okay.
And I think when a guy gets a groove, and I think Trey Herndon's playing the best he's played in his career.
He's playing well because they're playing the heavy zone snaps, which is perfect, which is he's great at.
I think you just leave it alone and just let's not mess this up. Let's make one position the focal point of trying to fix it instead of let's mix this guy over here and then maybe we end up weakening 2 positions.
Okay. All right, fellas. Thanks so much. Have a great broadcast this evening.
All right, thank you, boys.
Thank you, guys.
Up next, JP Shadrick slides in for hour number 2 of the Publix Tailgate Show. Big stories of the day, and at some point in the next hour, we'll learn whether or not Trevor Lawrence will be the starting quarterback this evening. So stand by for all of that and so much more. The Saints and Jags coming up at 8:15 Eastern from the Caesars Superdome in New Orleans. And you're listening to the Publix Tailgate Show on Jaguars Radio.
As the official supermarket of the Jacksonville Jaguars, Publix is helping fans gear up for game day with the limited-time Jaguars sub. Piled high with hot deli chicken tenders, boar's head bacon, cheddar cheese, coleslaw, and barbecue mayonnaise on a white sub roll. The Jaguars sub is an easy, delicious meal for any fan. Make it an ultimate game day by ordering the Jaguars sub online for in-store pickup. Publix, where shopping is a pleasure.
Ever wish you could make your Mondays go a little smoother? Here's a pro tip. Order online to dodge the line and kick off your week with free coffee Mondays. Every Monday through October 30th, Dunkin' Rewards members can get a free medium hot or iced coffee with any purchase. And you get to earn points to spend on even more free Dunkin'. Not a member? Join Dunkin' Rewards on the app and get even more Dunkin' deals. Nothing beats Dunkin' Rewards. Jaguars run on Dunkin'. Limit 1 per member per Monday. Additional charges and terms may apply. Exclusions may apply. Participation may vary. Limited time offer. Tackle your marketing needs with Kessler Creative. Providing direct mail services for more than a decade, Kessler has a wide range of services from small mailers to large banners and signs. Draft Kessler as your first pick to receive the best targeted mail list. Elevate your business and be on the winning team with Kessler Creative. Kessler Creative. Results-driven marketing and proud partner of your Jacksonville Jaguars. Mr. Chubby's Wings is a whole lot more than just wings. Craving the ultimate game day experience? Look no further. Swing by Mr. Chubby's and indulge in the biggest and best wings in town, all while soaking up the lively atmosphere with fellow sports fans. With plenty of game day specials and locations on the West Side, Fleming Island, Ponte Vedra Beach, and new this season, EverBank Stadium, they're here for all your game day needs. Mr. Chubby's Wings is a proud partner of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Mr. Chubby's Wings, before the game, after the game, and during the game.
Headquartered in Jacksonville, Florida, CSI Companies partners with leading organizations across the country to deliver workforce solutions. As a proud sponsor of your Jacksonville Jaguars, CSI crafts personalized operations to fuel the success of businesses, both big and small. Whether it's finding the right talent for a job or seamlessly managing a project from start to finish, CSI has over 3 decades of experience in getting the job done. This is your workforce solutions reimagined. Visit CSICompanies.com.
Hey Jags Nation, it's Andre Sisco, safety of your Jacksonville Jaguars, here to talk to you about Lou Ray Peanut Company. Lou Ray is bringing something to the market that has never been done before, microwavable boiled peanuts. Whether you like salty or a peppery Cajun kick, they've got you covered. Now, thanks to them, y'all can enjoy boiled peanuts at the bank while you watch me and the rest of the team tear it up on the field. Can't make the game? No sweat. Find a bag at a store nearest to you by heading to LouRayPeanut.com/find us. Go nuts, go Jags, and as always, Duval.
The Publix Tailgate Show continues right now.
And it's hour 2 of the Publix Tailgate Show. Publix, where shopping is a pleasure. 2 hours away or so from Thursday Night Football in Week 7. The Jacksonville Jaguars at 4-2. The New Orleans Saints at 3-3 coming up from the Caesars Superdome. It's an 8:15 Eastern Time kickoff. JP Shadrick with Mike Dempsey from the Hyundai Studios. And a quick turn for both of these teams. You never know sometimes with these Thursday night games, but you really never know when the quarterback has a knee issue as well. That's been priority number 1 this week.
And no, both teams are kind of beat up as well. You know, Saints on the offensive line. Demario Davis questionable to play as well. Has been practicing this week. And the Jags have injuries across the board right now, JP. And, you know, that's part of it. Thursday Night Football has not been the best product in recent years. And you know, short week. It's tough to get these guys to play at the highest possible level only a few days after playing on Sunday afternoon.
Inactives are expected at 6:45, an hour and a half before the kickoff time of 8:15. We'll get those to you immediately, obviously, and we'll hear from Kai Stevens coming up in New Orleans and see what she sees from the broadcast booth. Apparently Trevor Lawrence is going to get the pregame warm-up to see how it goes, and then go from there. Game day weather brought to you by the St. Johns River Water Management District. Florida's water, it's worth saving. It is 75 degrees and mostly clear skies in Jacksonville. Beautiful day. They're in a dome in New Orleans. Air-conditioned comfort in the Big Easy. Let's get to some of today's top stories, starting with the status of Trevor Lawrence's left knee. Well, on Monday, head coach Doug Peterson wanted nothing to do with any speculation of what the injury could be.
You'd have to talk to Ferg. Yeah, that's out of my
But he didn't
realm.
tell you strained ligaments or anything like that, or bone bruise or what?
Yeah, that's out of my jurisdiction.
Is there a sense that he may not play Thursday?
He's day to day.
He's day to day, but aren't we all, Mike? That's how the week started.
So they say, yes. Look, you know, that's where we're at right now, right? The whole I think the Jags are pretty transparent compared to a lot of teams when it comes to injury information, but that's a little bit weird. Like, you'll have to talk to Ferg. Well, didn't you already talk to him? What did he say? I mean, we know he's got a knee issue, so what exactly are we dealing with here? But teams don't like to give the info out. I don't know what that would change that much. You know what I mean? Like, I get it. You're preparing for Trevor Lawrence to play quarterback, but you're preparing probably for a less than 100% Trevor Lawrence. He can make some throws that Beathard does not make and would not attempt, but is New Orleans all of a sudden going to panic if C.J. Beathard is the guy under center for the first snap. I doubt it, but the coaches like to play the paranoia game.
Let's hear it from Trevor himself. Tuesday, he was limited in practice with a brace on that left knee, and after practice met with the media to explain a little further.
Hasn't affected me a ton because we just haven't done too much. So I'm just trying to, I'm trying to be smart about it, trying to protect it as long as I can, and just trying to take care of it and try to put me in the best position to be able to play on Thursday. So like I said, I've been working out and trying to strengthen everything else and keep my body in good shape and all that. So I'm doing everything I can, like I said, to be in position to play, and we'll just see how it progresses the next couple of days.
He did also say, Mike, that it wasn't anything major. He wouldn't say specifically what the issue was, but that's the good news moving ahead for this team.
Well, yeah, I think if there was talk about this being something you could easily aggravate and turn into a long-term situation. Look, anybody in any game could get hurt and end up missing future games, but it doesn't seem like they think there's a unnecessary risk to Trevor Lawrence simply by putting him on the field tonight if that's what they opt to do.
Let's hear from C.J. Beathard, just in case he's ready to roll if needed tonight.
Very comfortable. I mean, it's my 7th year in the league. I started a handful of games, and I have a real good feel with the group of guys and everything, and the plays and all that stuff. So, yeah, it's tough, especially being on a short week. Getting dinged up on a short week is tough, and then also, getting reps is tough too because we were not really doing anything full speed. Almost everything is walk through, jog through tempo. So, not getting all the reps full speed is different for sure. But I think it helps guys. That's what you have to do on short weeks. You have to help guys get their bodies back.
C.J. Beathard took the majority of the first team reps this week in practice, but it was kind of a walk through a slower pace this week in the short time they did have on the field. It could be a heavier dose of Travis Etienne Jr. He does lead the league in rushing attempts already. Press Taylor asked this week if Travis could maintain that pace through 17 games.
Yeah, I mean, he hasn't shown us he can't at this point in time. Obviously, we like to spread the wealth. We like to continue with the hot hand, whatever that may be, pass game, run game. He's been a guy that is obviously a game breaker for us. And he's been able to come through in those situations when we continue to give him the football. And he has opportunities, he finds opportunities, he creates his own opportunities at times. We want to continue to give the ball to our best players at all times.
It makes sense to me. Give it to the guy who's making the most plays right now.
Sure, but I think there's a limit to what you're ultimately going to want Travis Etienne to handle this year. I don't think 400 touches is a good look for a guy who takes a lot of big shots. He's not a guy that avoids contact. He gets blown up more than the typical back. Now, he's having a fantastic year. He also makes a lot of guys miss. Yeah. There's no question about that. I tend to agree. We were talking with Tony Boselli and Jeff Loggeman last hour about needing to work these other running backs in, but maybe tonight's not the night to do that, right? When you already know your quarterback is not going to be himself, not 100%. Do you rely on Travis Etienne to give me one more 20-carry performance, knowing you've got the 10 days off and then you've got the bye week after that? I kind of have a feeling they're going to lean in that direction.
Jags defense, well, they now lead the league with 15 takeaways, and defensive coordinator Mike Caldwell explaining the mindset on that side of the football.
It really just comes down to taking advantage of your opportunity. We've been able to touch the ball, and the guys are coming down with it. Josh had a strip sack. We're able to get a couple of fumbles. So it's just being able to, take advantage of opportunities. We always talk about the numbers favor us. So if we get more guys around the ball, we have an opportunity to take the ball away. So that's what we try to do, and we're doing a decent job right now.
To a man in that locker room on the defensive side, when you go up and ask him, hey, why are things going so well? It's like the number one answer every time is because we're stopping the run. It sets up everything else they want to do on defense. They're number 3 in the NFL against the run. That sets up passing situations, and you're starting to see more and more the pockets collapsing around the quarterbacks.
Yeah, I don't think it's anything that every team in the NFL doesn't want to try to do. The Jags are just executing it very well. They're stopping the run, and they're creating turnovers, and those are two things that every defensive coordinator wants his team to focus on, and they're not just doing a good job of it. Obviously, they're leading the league in takeaways, and I think they're second in turnover margin behind only San Francisco in terms of how many they've taken away compared to how many they've given away at +7. So, what can you say, JP? They've been outstanding 5 out of 6 games this season, and we'll take that pace the rest of the way.
There's no doubt about that. It'll be a fantastic year. And finally, a look at the Saints offense. It's been sputtering a little bit early in the season. Middle linebacker Foye Oluokun has a scouting report.
They got good skill at every position. Kamara can line up at different positions, really, depending on how they want to use them. They got Taysom Hill, a lot of personnel, different things that they can throw at you, so being able to handle that. But really just getting the guys who have the ball in their hands down is important, because I know a lot of those guys can break tackles and run. You know, a lot of skill on that side of the ball, so being able to handle that, make sure we stop the run first. That's what we pride ourselves on right now, stopping the run and handling the pass game. Keep creating turnovers.
Of course, Foye has seen the Saints team firsthand in Atlanta for so many years in the division with them, so very familiar with the personnel on that Saints offense, though it has changed a little bit. Alvin Kamara, I'm going to ask, we'll hear from Fred Taylor coming up in the final hour before kick and get his thoughts on the running back battle tonight. But is Alvin Kamara the same Alvin Kamara as 3, 4, 5 years ago?
It's probably not 5 years ago, but the last couple of years they stopped throwing him the ball as much out of the backfield. But Derek Carr's always had the reputation as being kind of a guy who will take shots down the field, but he'll also check it down to his backs. And you've seen that already with Kamara getting a ton of targets in his first couple of games back. Jamal Williams is new to this team, led the league in rushing touchdowns last year. He's not going to average a big yards per carry, but he is tough between the tackles. And Kendre Miller, they think, can be a do-it-all kind of guy, but he's just getting his feet wet in the NFL.
They've got tight ends on this team. They've got Olave at wide receiver.
Well, you got
Michael
Taysom
Thomas.
Hill, who's a hybrid jack of all trades,
Yeah.
who lines up in the backfield. He'll carry the ball. He's more likely to carry the ball or throw the ball than he is to actually catch the ball, despite being listed as a tight end. Although I think this year they changed his designation kind of more to quarterback. He's been that hybrid type player, and I don't doubt we'll see him when they get inside the 10-yard line, JP. They have no problem taking Carr or any quarterback off the field to put Taysom Hill in kind of a wildcat position.
Yeah, Hill officially listed as a quarterback, but hey, he can line
he
up
does
all
line up under center and take the snap,
He
and then
does.
he generally runs with it. So,
That's true. There's a look at some of today's top stories. Hey, bootleggers, get ready. Luke Combs is bringing 2 nights of the Growing Up and Getting Old tour to EverBank Stadium May 3rd and 4th, 2024, with different special guests each night. Tickets on sale now. For more, visit everbankstadium.com. Let's go to New Orleans, Louisiana, the Caesars Superdome. And Kai Stevens is standing by in the broadcast booth. Good afternoon, Kai. What is the latest on the Trevor Lawrence pregame workout? Anything going on the field right now?
Hello, gentlemen. I didn't know that was a big story. Are people curious about that today?
Right.
We haven't seen Trevor come out yet. We're still in like the kind of come out, walk around if you want to phase, so it's not full activation. CJ Beathard is out here. He's talking to Mike McCoy. He's going through his warm-ups and stuff. I would say maybe 15 players are out right now, so we're going to keep an eye on things. He might be coming out soon, though.
Okay, well,
let's take a look.
Yeah.
Hold on.
Oh, so he might be doing it right now. Huh?
He's running out right now. He's got his brace on his left leg, got his hat on per usual. I will keep you guys posted, but yeah, he's just jogging out right now. So I think per what we've heard this week as well is he's going to come out, do his pregame workout, normal routine, and then based off how he feels off that is whether he'll play or not tonight.
You said he does have the brace on the left knee still?
He does have the brace on the left knee. I don't know if it's the same one we saw him have in practice. It doesn't look as bulky to me. It might be a lighter one.
It's an interesting thought because, he said it in the press conference this week that he's never had a knee injury. He's never had to wear a knee brace at all. So just getting used to just a foreign object around your left leg has to be a big step for him tonight.
I can imagine. And that's going to affect how you're moving as well, right? Yeah, it's protective, but it's also just bulky and kind of strange. So, and we know Trevor likes to run sometimes. So that will definitely be part of it. He's doing some sprints, some slow sprints right now. So I think we'll probably have a better idea in about 45 minutes. But if I was a betting woman, which I'm not, but if I was, I would say he'll probably try to play tonight.
Kai, you're around this team all the time. How do you think the travel, the compressed schedule affects them, considering everything that they've gone through in that regard over the last 3 weeks?
I think mentally they're probably okay. I know they started some of the game planning for the Saints last week. Physically, I can't speak to that. I'm sure it's very difficult for them to play that many football games back-to-back. But I know at least Evan Ingram, who says usually he feels really beat up by Thursday, said he'd been feeling really, really well. Like on Monday, he was surprised at how good he felt. So coming into things, I don't know if that's just based off him personally, but some of the other players, Thursday is what Thursday is. That's always tough. You're in a tough environment here in New Orleans, the Superdome. There's barely anybody in here, and it's already really loud, so I can only imagine how it's going to be in about 2 hours. So I think for the most part, they're handling it pretty well. I mean, we've been here for about 24 hours at this point, so that helps a little bit too, I think, when you're kind of not rushing and then immediately playing the next day early in the morning. So that helps you get settled a little bit. I would say best case scenario you can have for Thursday Night Football right now, other than what's going on with Trevor.
Guy Stevens with us from Superdome in New Orleans. It's feeling more and more each week that you can really rely on this Jaguars defense and lean on them to do their thing until the offense either figures things out or, they cash in the short fields as they did last week. I mean, this is a defense that you can really kind of hang your hat on. It's starting to build up that way.
It really is. I mean, it's been the strong suit of this team, and this is when it's really going to come through. I think regardless of Trevor playing tonight, it's going to be one of those ugly kind of defensive games that Thursday can tend to be, where everybody's on a short week and it's just not their best effort necessarily. So that's when the defense, who has been turnover machines recently, can really come through. If you're getting, if you can even get a pick six or even just like turning the ball over, forcing the Saints to struggle. They've had offensive struggles. They're, some issues with Derek Carr and the play calling over there. So if you can get them frustrated early, get the crowd out of it early, if the defense can do that, that'll give them a really good shot.
All right, Kai, on Fox 30 here in Jacksonville on TV just moments ago, we saw a live shot from the Superdome of Trevor Lawrence.
Oh, yes,
running
there
a
are
sprint.
about 20 cameras on that man right now. So if anything goes down, we will know.
So give us the latest. What is he doing right now?
He is talking right now to one of the assistants. He was jumping up and down on one leg. Now he's doing fake drop backs right now. He looks to be putting full weight on it. Doesn't seem to be, holding off at all. He's running, doing some mock sprints right now, and seems fine. I mean, we didn't get to see, we saw him with the brace on in practice earlier this week, but the availability that we had, we didn't see him fully practicing with the brace on. From what he's going through right now, he seems to be going full speed, doesn't seem to be holding back on it at all.
Kai, well done. Enjoy the game. We'll talk to you a little later.
I shall. See you guys soon.
Kai Stevens with the latest from the Superdome in New Orleans. Trevor Lawrence is on the field. He is going through an early warm-up, and then we'll get his status designation for the game. He's questionable for the game right now, coming up at about 6:45 when the inactives are announced. We're about 30 minutes away or so from that point, and up next, it's Amazon Prime analyst Andrew Whitworth. Kickoff at 8:15 Eastern for the Jaguars and the Saints on Thursday Night Football. This is the Publix Tailgate Show on Jaguars Radio.
As the official supermarket of the Jacksonville Jaguars, Publix is helping fans gear up for game day with the limited-time Jaguars sub. Piled high with hot deli chicken tenders, boar's head bacon, cheddar cheese, coleslaw, and barbecue mayonnaise on a white sub roll. The Jaguar sub is an easy, delicious meal for any fan. Make it an ultimate game day by ordering the Jaguar sub online for in-store pickup. Publix, where shopping is a pleasure.
Unlock your potential at the University of North Florida. A top public university with more than 100 majors, UNF is number one among state schools with the highest percentage of graduates employed in Florida. Affordable tuition, programs in high-demand fields, and faculty who care. Swoop into your future at UNF. Visit unf.edu to learn more.
Everyone wins when two great traditions team up. Yucatan Guacamole is a proud partner of the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Our authentic guacamole recipe starts with hand-scooped avocados and ends up in your hands fresh and ready to enjoy. Grab some on game day at the Yucatan Cantina or Yucatan nacho carts around the stadium or at local retail stores. Sack your snack game with Yucatan Guacamole.
Prosser here for Lifetime Enclosures and Lifetime Flooring. Football season finally upon us, and with that comes cooler weather. If you've been wanting to upgrade your outdoor living space, you should call the experts at Lifetime Enclosures now. From glass lanais to screened-in enclosures, Lifetime Enclosures and Flooring is the best in the business, so give them a call today. Lifetime Enclosures and Lifetime Flooring. Showroom just off Phillips Highway, proud partner of the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Touchdown at Jaguars away games when you fly nonstop from Jacksonville International Airport. Join the Jaguars in New Orleans and Pittsburgh. Watch them win in Houston and Nashville. All the other Jaguars games are just one short connection away. And if airport parking has you stressed, be sure to visit the Jax Airport website before traveling to the terminal. On it, you'll find information about the status of on-airport parking in real time. See if your favorite areas are available or if you need to call an audible. Visit flyjax.com for more information.
JEA is proud to be Northeast Florida's community-owned utility. So what does that mean? It means we serve our local customers, not investors. that we're always focused on keeping our costs as low as possible while exploring new ways to deliver clean, affordable energy and water, and that we invest in our people and infrastructure to deliver reliable, sustainable services. Because for 127 years, JEA has been here to serve you, and only you. JEA, your community, your utility.
JP Shadrick with Mike Dempsey from the Hyundai Studios. The Publix Tailgate show continues. We're about 2 hours away from Thursday Night Football in Week 7. The Jaguars and the New Orleans Saints at the Caesars Superdome. Kickoff at 8:15 Eastern. Let's go around the National Football League.
All right, JP, we'll start out in the desert. The Las Vegas Raiders have won 2 in a row. They take on the Bears this weekend, but with each victory, wide receiver Devontae Adams' involvement in the offense has decreased after seeing a season-high 20 targets in Vegas' Week 3 loss to Pittsburgh. Adams has watched that target total dwindle to 13, 4, and 5 in the last few games. He's caught just 6 passes for 74 yards combined in the last 2. And despite the recent wins, Adams is apparently unhappy with his current role, saying this week, quote, "I'm a human being, and I have extremely high standards for myself in this offense." I'm sure people are thinking, they won the game. Why is there an issue? I mean, you see why it's an issue. Y'all should know who I am, know what I'm about at this point, and when you're a player like me, mentally, my benchmark is not wins and losses, it's greatness. So when I go out there, I expect to be able to have the ability to put that on tape and have an influence on the game. That's my purpose for being here. I'm not here just to hang out. I came here to win and do it the right way. According to Adams, apparently doing it the right way means winning as long as he gets his big offensive numbers, which you don't usually see players come out and talk about that, particularly in the wake of back-to-back victories. Meanwhile, a guy who would just like to get on the field this year, Arizona quarterback Kyler Murray, continues to rehab a torn ACL he suffered late last season. Murray, though, did hit a milestone in his recovery as he was able to practice in a limited basis for the first time with Arizona yesterday. He won't play this week when the Cardinals are up in Seattle taking on the Seahawks, but during Murray's absence, former Jaguar Joshua Dobbs has kept the team competitive in most games despite only managing a 1-5 record so far this season. The Cardinals do hope to get Murray back under center in as few as 2 more weeks. He's also been talked about as a potential trade candidate, depending on how those weeks go for Arizona, with the trade deadline just a couple of weeks away. Former NFL quarterback Tom Brady is reportedly seeking to pay $175 million for a 10% stake in those Las Vegas Raiders we talked about earlier, a price which reportedly represents a significant discount based on the value of the team. Brady's interest in a stake in the Raiders franchise has been well documented, going well back into the offseason, but the deal's yet to be approved, which it has to be by NFL owners. Jim Irsay, the owner of the Colts, took issue with the price, saying it's too steep of a discount. He says, we're trying to work through it. The number just has to be reasonable for the purchase price for Tom. The only thing is, if reasonable value says that 10% should be $525 million, you can't pay $175 million. As much as they'd like to have Brady as a member of NFL ownership, a $350 million discount on 1/10 of the team seems like a bridge too far for a lot of NFL owners. And, if I'm Brady, I want to get it as cheap as possible as well. My name is worth something, but I don't know if it's worth $350 million, at least to the rest of the – maybe to Mark Davis. May not be to the rest of the league at large.
Apparently not. And there's your look around the National Football League. Entering week number 7, Andrew Whitworth is now in his second year as an analyst for Amazon Prime Video on Thursday Night Football. He does pregame, halftime, and postgame. He spent 16 years in the NFL as a tackle for the Bengals and the Rams, and we get his preview of this matchup for the Jaguars and the Saints.
It's a challenge. I think that really when you start talking about that, it's one of the things you can really go team to team across this league. And when there's guys changing in and out up front on the offensive line, it's very little times that you see much success because it's really challenging as an offense. Because I think it's numerous, so many different reasons, but I think one of those is if you really think about all 5 guys, sometimes it's about having that communication and camaraderie amongst each other, but also just the efficiency of playing. I look at even like a Cam Robinson. I mean, as good a player as he is, hearing him talk about, hey, you know what, it was an okay performance. I felt like I felt good, but there's still some things I need to clean up and be better at. You heard Doug Peterson kind of say the same thing. You take a guy as experienced as he is, has played as much as he is, just when you're in and out of the lineup like that, I don't care who you are, there's going to be little mistakes. Now you start switching all the positions. You got guys who haven't played as much football, who are getting in and out of the lineup. There's going to be mistakes just because it's just them getting used to being out there themselves, much less how they work with everybody else. So you're really kind of getting it from two sides. And so that kind of creates a little bit of a stall on offense because there's a holding penalty or there's a mistake or there's a mental lapse on something. And I think that's what makes it so challenging in this league. When that offensive line's rotating, there's not many offenses that are able to have a whole lot of success.
There's never really a week off either. I mean, every defensive front seems to have somebody up front to be able to wreck your game, and really no different in New Orleans this week. I mean, this is a veteran defense, especially up front. They've been together for a long time. Not the week to be trying to figure out an O-line.
It's definitely not. I mean, I think that the good thing is you've seen in Trevor Lawrence's progression, if he goes, one of the things he's done so well is being able to get the ball out of his hand. He's really sped up his ability to get through his progressions and develop as a quarterback, and that helps you a ton. I mean, I really think that if Trevor hasn't been that style over the last really year and a half, you've seen him really take a surge there of getting the ball out of his hand and handling that so much better. I think this really would be more talked about is some of these offensive line rotations, because he masked some of that with the ability to get the ball out of his hand. And I think that this week will be a big challenge, because if he goes, this front can create pressure. They're a veteran group that gets after it. The physicality they play with, is what always sticks in my mind when I talk about the Saints defense is, that D-line is going to play with a certain physical presence in every game. And I think that the leadership obviously all starts with Cam Jordan up front, but it's going to be a heck of a challenge for this Jacksonville group just to come into New Orleans. It's a loud place. It's a place that I've played a lot of football, and I know there's a lot of challenges communication-wise when you come in here. And then on top of that, they're a really good physical defense that plays a lot of man-to-man, a lot of press coverage. They're going to challenge these skill guys to get off the ball and find ways to get open. So I think it's going to be a fun matchup to watch.
Andrew Whitworth with us from Amazon Prime. Let's flip it around now. This Jaguars defense overall playing good overall team defense. They lead the league in takeaways. They're third against the run. They really hang their hat on that thing. And there's been talk around here on our shows and things, Andrew, that there's really not a game-wrecking player, like one guy you really have to plan for on this defense. But Josh Allen might be taking some steps in that direction at least. He's playing some of his best football. What stands out about Allen now in year 5 for you when you have to look at him coming across from you? How do you plan to slow down a guy like Josh?
Well, I think what's interesting with Josh, and I really think it's something it's commendable, and it's really what you see in that team a little bit is, as you become a franchise that, here they are, with a great start, one they haven't experienced in recent years, having 4 wins and being in this kind of this seat they're in right now. And like, hey, you look at over the last year and a half, really, how well they've played. You're going to need guys to step up and be just like we just talked about who Cam Jordan is for this Saints defense. You're going to need that guy that you say, hey, man, this is the identity. This is when we talk about the Jacksonville Jaguars defense, this is one of those guys we identify as this is how they play football. And I think Josh Allen, to me, it's not so much the moves or the capabilities and things that he has. It's how he plays, the effort, the energy. You see the rundown, the chase down plays he's making all over the field, where it's just purely the effort he's giving is why he's making this play. I think those things resonate and stick out. And then guys' minds across that defense, hey, we're going to take pride in how we do things. They can look at a guy right there, a veteran who plays the game the way he should, who's looking for that next opportunity for himself to get paid and to be, rewarded for how he plays, but is also setting the tone with the energy and effort he plays every snap with. I think that's really something that can't be talked about enough to be that way. And then you look at them, they're able to stop the run and be a turnover team. You know what? Sometimes I'd rather a team that gives up a ton of yards but turns the ball over any day, because to me, that's really what dictates games. I mean, you look at it outside of points, that turnover margin can tell you who wins and loses football games over and over and over again.
Andrew Whitworth, and you can hear the full conversation on the official Jaguars podcast network. It's free on iTunes, Spotify, or wherever you download podcasts. Also on Jaguars.com, click the podcast tab at the top of the homepage. Whitworth's been at it for a long time. I was interested in his thoughts about this Jags offensive line and just the moving parts that have happened this year. Cam Robinson in now, week 3 for him at left tackle. The guard positions have been moving, injuries, play has changed some of that. There's a rookie at right tackle. It's a lot to deal with up front.
Oh, sure it is. And, the Jags have had a drive and a half of what they presume are their best 5 offensive linemen playing together, which in one sense, JP, is a positive in that you're only going to get healthier, you hope, in the case of Walker Little. And when you get him back, there's still some internal improvement that can come. But, you always hear about cohesiveness with the offensive line and guys working together and practicing next to each other and how much that means. It's why it's, I think, important we see Brandon Sheriff out there tonight. It hasn't been his best season of his pro career, but still having the experience of a 5-time Pro Bowler in between a rookie right tackle and a second-year starting center, I think has been invaluable for these guys.
Coming up in about 15 minutes, a fantasy forecast. Frank Frangie in the broadcast booth, and Inactives are due at 6:45. That's about 15 minutes from now. Up next, though, it's a pregame Huddle Up podcast with Bucky Brooks and John Oehser in the booth in New Orleans. Kickoff in Week 7 is coming up for Thursday Night Football, the Jaguars and the Saints, and this is the Publix Tailgate Show on Jaguars Radio.
As the official supermarket of the Jacksonville Jaguars, Publix is helping fans gear up for game day with the limited-time Jaguars sub. Piled high with hot deli chicken tenders, boar's head bacon, cheddar cheese, coleslaw, and barbecue mayonnaise on a white sub roll. The Jaguar sub is an easy, delicious meal for any fan. Make it an ultimate game day by ordering the Jaguar sub online for in-store pickup. Publix, where shopping is a pleasure.
You say there's nothing quite like the feel of the open road when you ride a motorcycle. You know it takes concentration, knowledge, and skills beyond those required to drive a car. Ride Smart Florida would like to take this opportunity to remind you to enjoy the road, but to always ride smart. S-M-A-R-T. Say no to drinking and riding. Make yourself more visible to motorists. Always wear your helmet. Ride in control. Train regularly and get endorsed. Visit RideSmartFlorida.com for more details. Do you ride smart? This message is provided by the Florida Department of Transportation.
Tackle your marketing needs with Kessler Creative. Providing direct mail services for more than a decade, Kessler has a wide range of services from small mailers to large banners and signs. Draft Kessler as your first pick to receive the best targeted mail list. Elevate your business and be on the winning team with Kessler Creative. Kessler Creative, results-driven marketing and proud partner of your Jacksonville Jaguars.
Hey Jags Nation, it's Andre Cisco, safety of your Jacksonville Jaguars, here to talk to you about Blu-ray Peanut Company. Blu-ray is bringing something to the market that has never been done before, microwavable boiled peanuts. Whether you like salty or a peppery Cajun kick, they've got you covered. Now, thanks to them, y'all can enjoy boiled peanuts at the bank while you watch me and the rest of the team tear it up on the field. Can't make the game? No sweat. Find a bag at a store nearest to you by heading to LouRayPeanut.com/find us. Go nuts, go Jags, and as always, Duval.
Prosser here for Lifetime Enclosures and Lifetime Flooring. Football season finally upon us, and with that comes cooler weather. If you've been wanting to upgrade your outdoor living space, you should call the experts at Lifetime Enclosures now. From glass lanais to screened-in enclosures, Lifetime Enclosures and Flooring is the best in the business, so give them a call today. Lifetime Enclosures and Lifetime Flooring. Showroom just off Phillips Highway, proud partner of the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Ever wish you could make your Mondays go a little smoother? Here's a pro tip. Order online to dodge the line and kick off your week with free coffee Mondays. Every Monday through October 30th, Dunkin' Rewards members can get a free medium hot or iced coffee with any purchase. And you get to earn points to spend on even more free Dunkin'. Not a member? Join Dunkin' Rewards on the app and get even more Dunkin' deals. Nothing beats Dunkin' Rewards. Jaguars run on Dunkin'. Limit 1 per member per Monday. Additional charges and terms may apply. Exclusions may apply. Participation may vary. Limited time offer.
JP Shadrick with Mike Dempsey from the Hyundai Studios in Jacksonville. The Jaguars and the Saints coming up at 8:15 Eastern on Thursday Night Football in Week 7 from the Caesars Superdome in New Orleans. Kick off the second half of the season at the bank when the Jaguars take on the San Francisco 49ers Sunday, November 12th. Kickoff set for 1 p.m. for now, and tickets are going fast. Secure your seats by going to jaguars.com/tickets. Inactives usually around at this time, but kickoff at 8:15 tonight, so an hour and a half before kick. So we're closing in on about 12 minutes away from the inactives, the all-important inactives tonight, to see the status of quarterback Trevor Lawrence. Let's go to the Superdome and welcome in Bucky Brooks and John Oehser, a Pregame Huddle Up podcast. I tell you what, this is a viral sensation, the Trevor Lawrence pregame workout. How's it look in person so far?
Well, Buck, I'll let you go.
Well, it was a little rough at the beginning, but then he settled in. He actually looked pretty good. Look, only Trevor knows how much pain he will be in if he plays, but he looks good enough to be able to be a functional quarterback and do some things.
Yeah, we've seen nothing to indicate that he won't play. I thought all week he probably would. All the tea leaves, all the tweets from national guys has trended that way, and there's been nothing in the pregame to make you think any different. So I'm expecting 16 out there with a brace.
Hey, Bucky, help our radio audience out a little bit. What does rough look like from your perspective? What was it that looked rough about him warming up?
So one of the things when you're looking at a player trying to play through an injury, how much does it impact them doing their normal stuff? So for Trevor, it's the footwork, because the footwork determines how accurate the ball would be thrown. So when he was just starting out, the ball was sailing high. It was a little off the mark. The longer he threw, the better it got when it came to the accuracy and ball placement. That said, the knee injury will certainly hinder some of the stuff that he can do. So I think this was not only Trevor being okay, but the coaches being able to see where he's at and how they may have to restructure or tweak the game plan to give him the best chance to be successful with his limitations.
How about the play calling and all that? How limited will he be, certainly in the running game? He's going to be running around like a deer like he was the last couple weeks, right?
Well, he said that he's running forward fine. You probably don't call very much for him in that vein. I don't know that they've called a whole lot for him in the last couple of weeks. He has taken off at good times the last couple of weeks. He's made a couple plays with his legs when protection broke down. You would think that you stay away from that as much as you can, but then the game starts, and there's pressure, and you have to move if you're under pressure. So they won't call it for him, but he's still got to be able to move, Bucky.
Yeah, he still has to be able to move. If you ask me what the game plan looks like, it looks like a very scaled-down version of what the Jaguars normally do. Probably more wide receiver tight end screens, maybe more slow screens, some isolation routes that are on time and rhythm if, you see Calvin Ridley against an off corner and those things. But I would expect this team for this game to lean on the running game, try to use a ball control passing game where he doesn't have to really keep the ball long, and see if you can manufacture enough points using that approach, because I don't think you want to have him on the move, taking significant drops and really facing a full throttle pass rush.
You know what they ought to do, Buck? First play out of the box, quarterback draw.
Oh, yeah.
Just a fool.
Yeah.
Just a fool of Dempsey.
Just like they need to do that bootleg at the end of the game,
naked
too.
boot, I'm sure.
Right.
Yeah, the way to go.
That was great.
Yeah, no doubt. We've talked about it a good bit here on the pregame already, but would have been the lead story all week that Tyson Campbell was not expected to play, and he will not play tonight if it weren't for this Trevor Lawrence situation. So how big of an impact are we going to see from that absence tonight?
Yeah, I think it's
huge impact.
Yeah, I mean it's as to me, there's three guys on defense that you don't want to lose: Josh Allen, Trayvon Walker, and Campbell. And some people would say Campbell because he's so much better, I think, than any other cornerback that they have. So all of a sudden, you take what is a strength and you weaken multiple spots. So it's big. You got to hold up. I think it's incumbent on the pass rush to be a little better and get there a little quicker to take pressure off what I assume will be Monteric Brown.
Yeah, this would be a different approach for Mike Caldwell. I still believe that you want to heat Derek Carr up as much as you can, but it's probably more zone pressure than man pressure. When you take and remove Tyson Campbell out, it does put maybe a slower version of your secondary on the field. And with the receivers that the Saints have, Chris Olave is a great route runner. Michael Thomas is an excellent post-up player. They can put you in some jams and some predicaments when it comes to the matchups. this has to be one where you pick and choose where you want to play man-to-man. So you may see the Jaguars concede more yards between the 20s and really try and tighten up in the red zone where they force the Saints to kick field goals as opposed to scoring touchdowns.
And, JP, that's where the Saints have struggled this year, is in the red zone. So it sort of plays into where you think you can get the Saints having to kick field goals. It makes sense they would try to do that.
Still using Taysom Hill in the full assortment of things that he was doing in the past, and Alvin Kamara at the same time. What's the feel with those two guys on offense for the Saints?
Buck, you're the national guy.
The national guy. Here's the thing that I'll say about the Saints offense, Taysom Hill and all their players. I think what you have is Pete Carmichael trying to figure out what to do with his quarterback. You know, for so long they've been able to run a certain system with certain players, but now you have a quarterback that's very comfortable with the system that was previously in. So John Gruden helped them install this version of the offense, but you know, Pete Carmichael doesn't necessarily know it like the back of his hand. So it's a filling out process. And I'll say this, like having talked to some Saints folks, like there's a little bit of a disappointment in terms of what they got, what they're getting from Derek Carr. They expected to see a little more. And so there's some pressure internally on the Saints offensive staff to figure out how they can put more points up on the board to complement what is a very, very good defense.
Guys, second time in 4 games that the Jags are facing a team with a really beat-up offensive line. They didn't take that much advantage of it at all against the Houston Texans. Are they better positioned to do that tonight?
Well, I think they are, maybe not pass rush, but I think they are in position to stifle the Saints' running game. And I think that's what you have to do in this game. You have to get them in second and long and third and long situations and make Derek Carr do what he does, which is sometimes throw you the ball. So I think Josh Allen, I expect him to have a sack and impact tonight. I expect overall the pass rush to be able to impact Carr and get those turnovers. That's been the key. I don't necessarily know that it'll mean a huge sack game, but I do expect if the Jaguars are going to win that they're going to get 2 turnovers at some big times and silence this crowd. But
yeah, I mean, it's really important when you're playing in this place because it can get rocking and rolling. You want to play from ahead, and you want to put the pressure and the onus on the Saints to be able to do it. We talk about that offensive line having some struggles and those things. This is a team, their confidence is teetering because they've had some up and down moments. The Jaguars need to jump on them. They need to find a way to harass Derek Carr. I'll say this, Derek Carr changes when he gets hit. If they can hit him early, his percentages go way down when it comes to completion percentage and passer rating. He is a guy that begins to see the rush instead of feel it. So Josh Allen and company have to make life miserable for him early so he won't be the same player that he's been.
And to me, guys, a big game for the perception of this defense. We, from following them for 6 games, think they're pretty good, and they're the kind of defense that is changing games. With Trevor, not 100%, and against a good defensive team in the Saints, this is the time to show national TV that you really are good.
Bucky Brooks and John Oehser from the Caesars Superdome in downtown New Orleans before the Jaguars and Saints match up on Thursday Night Football. Back to the offense quickly. The running game, obviously, with ETN has gone pretty well. Travis leads the league in rushing attempts this year. The offensive line has seen a lot of changes early in this year, and there's still guys banged up in the middle. Like the guards, obviously, have been changing a little bit the last few weeks. So at what point can we expect that to settle down? And really, is it maybe even after the bye week when all these guys maybe come back from injury?
I think that after the bye week is probably a good time to think about that coming together. You have so many injuries, so many people trying to fight through stuff. You're trying to kind of keep everything in play. Brandon Sheriff dealing with his stuff, Walker Little, Cam Robinson still coming back. After the bye week, you should see the offensive line settle in, barring any more injuries. That's also when you should think about this team beginning to play their best football down the stretch. November, December is where you want to kind of hit your stride. That's right around the time that offensive line should gel. And so I think it will coincide with the offensive line coming together. You'll see the team kind of begin to play at that level that many of us expected.
And, guys, I get a lot of questions about, well, why don't they trade for an offensive lineman? I don't know where they would do it. They like Fortner. They want Walker Little and Brandon Sheriff to be their guards, and they like their tackle. So I don't see a trade on that front.
All right, gentlemen, we're a couple minutes away from inactives. We'll have those after this timeout. Enjoy the game tonight. Appreciate it.
Guys, thanks.
Bucky Brooks, John Ozier joining us from the Superdome. Check out the weekly Huddle Up with Bucky Brooks show Wednesdays at 4 on Jaguars.com and the Jaguars YouTube channel. About 2.5 minutes away. We're back in a moment with the Inactives. We'll see if Trevor Lawrence is a go for tonight or not. Fantasy forecast coming up. Frank Frangie in the booth. A lot to get to ahead of the Jaguars and Saints, and this is the Publix Tailgate Show on Jaguars Radio.
As the official supermarket of the Jacksonville Jaguars, Publix is helping fans gear up for game day with the limited-time Jaguars sub. Piled high with hot deli chicken tenders, boar's head bacon, cheddar cheese, coleslaw, and barbecue mayonnaise on a white sub roll. The Jaguars sub is an easy, delicious meal for any fan. Make it an ultimate game day by ordering the Jaguars sub online for in-store pickup. Publix, where shopping is a pleasure.
You've been putting back a few. And a few becomes a few too many. For a moment, you think of calling for a ride, but nah, you live nearby. What's the worst that could happen? You get pulled over, your insurance goes up, you lose your license, you total your car, you kill someone. The results of driving drunk are tragic. That's why law enforcement is out there looking for impaired drivers to save lives. So if you think you're okay to drive after a few drinks, think again. Drive sober or get pulled over.
Paid for by FDOT.
Mr. Chubby's Wings is a whole lot more than just wings. Craving the ultimate game day experience? Look no further. Swing by Mr. Chubby's and indulge in the biggest and best wings in town, all while soaking up the lively atmosphere with fellow sports fans. With plenty of game day specials and locations on the West Side, Fleming Island, Ponte Vedra Beach, and new this season, EverBank Stadium. They're here for all your game day needs. Mr. Chubby's Wings is a proud partner of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Mr. Chubby's Wings, before the game, after the game, and during the game.
Want to make sure he gets to the game on time?
Tommy, your uniform is ready. Let's go.
Install a natural gas dryer, and you're guaranteed faster drying times and softer laundry. And now you can earn a valuable cash rebate up to $200 on an energy-efficient natural gas dryer. Show your home love with natural gas, and it loves you right back. To learn more and how to qualify, visit peoplesgas.com/rebates.
Everyone wins when two great traditions team up. Yucatan Guacamole is a proud partner of the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Our authentic guacamole recipe starts with hand-scooped avocados and ends up in your hands fresh and ready to enjoy. Grab some on game day at the Yucatan Cantina or Yucatan nacho carts around the stadium or at local retail stores. Sack your snack game with Yucatan Guacamole.
Nothing kicks off your game better than a handful of Georgia peanuts. Power packed with protein, essential nutrients, and great taste, Georgia peanuts are the MVP for affordability, sustainability, and nutrition. To score life's touchdowns with recipes and fun facts, check out GAPeanuts.com. The perfectly powerful peanut is brought to you by the family farmers of the Georgia Peanut Commission.
Peanuts! Get your peanuts!
This is the Publix Tailgate Show. Publix, where shopping is a pleasure. JP Shadrick, Mike Dempsey from the Hyundai Studios. The Jaguars and the Saints closing in on the 8:15 kickoff time of the Caesars Superdome. The inactives have been announced. Trevor Lawrence is a green light. He will go tonight for the Jacksonville Jaguars at quarterback. He is not among the inactive players, and his warm-up is nearing a conclusion, and he will start tonight for the Jacksonville Jaguars at quarterback. The players down for the Jaguars this evening: Zay Jones, wide receiver with a knee issue still. JaMycal Hasty, running back, is down tonight. Tyson Campbell with a hamstring issue, will not play tonight. And Yasir Abdullah, outside linebacker, is out. Walker Little, the offensive lineman, again with a knee issue, is out. Tavon Campbell was elevated, game day elevation off the practice squad at cornerback. Most likely Monteric Brown would get the start outside at corner, and then they'll see how it goes. Campbell up just in case things need to change as the game goes along. And Nathan Rourke was signed to the active roster to be the emergency third quarterback tonight. So he is inactive, but available if both Lawrence and Beathard are to be injured or ejected or gone from the game.
Yes, or benched for any reason, whatever the case.
Well,
But,
it has to be by injury or ejection. Has to be by injury. That's the stated rule. Has to be by injury.
So it can only come in, before the fourth quarter if it's due to injury?
I think it's pretty much any time.
Okay.
He's not just a third quarterback. He's got
Gotcha.
to be, if both guys are unable to. It's the playoff rule from last year.
All right, for the Saints, JP, 3 offensive linemen out, including a pair of starters. Ryan Ramczyk dealing with a concussion, James Hurst with an ankle, and Landon Young, who's a key backup for them, also out. So beat up on the O-line. The big news is DeMario Davis is active for the Saints tonight, although some speculation in the Saints media as to whether or not he'll start or whether a former Notre Dame Fighting Irish linebacker Jalen Smith will get the call there. Other inactives for the Saints tonight, defensive back J.T. Gray, wide receiver A.T. Perry. Their starting tight end, Juwan Johnson, is out for another game with a calf injury, and defensive end Kyle Phillips among those not suiting up for New Orleans.
All right, the inactives are in, and join the Jaguars Tuesday, October 24th from 5 to 6 at Publix at E-Town Exchange and meet Jags players for a special appearance. That's at E-Town Parkway, 11025 E-Town Parkway. That's down near 9B on Tuesday, October 24th. How about a fantasy forecast, Mike?
All right, a lot of injury news to dig into. No official injury reports out yet for the weekend. Obviously, they'll come tomorrow. But taking this on a game-by-game basis with some of the key personnel. Detroit at Baltimore, Jahmyr Gibbs likely to start. He has been limited this week. The rookie, 12th overall pick, expected to get the call. He had 17 carries in the one start he had this year when David Montgomery was absent. Gibbs has missed the last couple games. Montgomery's banged up, not expected to play. Craig Reynolds, another backup on that depth chart, also limited in practice this week. So Gibbs likely will start barring any further setbacks this week. Chicago and Vegas, neither team will see their preferred starting quarterback out there, as Jimmy Garoppolo ruled out with a back injury. Not sure if it'll be rookie Aiden O'Connell or veteran Brian Hoyer getting the call there. They went with O'Connell earlier this year to get the start. Hoyer filled in last week off the bench. Meanwhile, Chicago, Justin Fields is ruled to be doubtful, not expected at all to play, may miss multiple weeks. Tyson Bagent, the rookie, came in and played off the bench last week. He would get the start there. And Roschon Johnson would be in line to get the start, the rookie running back, but still has not exited the concussion protocol. He's been in there for a couple of weeks, so could be another start there for Deontay Foreman in a pretty good matchup with Vegas. Cleveland at Indianapolis. Deshaun Watson has been limited in practice this week. P.J. Walker sent back down to the practice squad, but he was elevated to start ahead of Dorian Thompson-Robinson last week. That would be the case if Watson were to miss another game there. Washington and the New York Giants keeping an eye on Daniel Jones with his neck injury. Tyrod Taylor got the win and almost orchestrated an upset victory over the Buffalo Bills on Sunday Night Football. Buffalo and New England, Josh Allen returned to a full practice yesterday, so green light for him and the Buffalo offense. Pittsburgh and the L.A. Rams. The Rams will be without running backs Kyron Williams, who's been starting and excelling for them this year, and backup Ronnie Rivers, who was placed on IR. So Zach Evans, the rookie, expected to get a start tonight. And then Monday Night Football, a couple of big injuries. Probably the top two players selected in most fantasy leagues were Christian McCaffrey and Justin Jefferson in some order. Jefferson's already been placed on injured reserve. He's out for the next 3 weeks at a minimum. CMC dealing with an oblique injury, and the likelihood is Elijah Mitchell would get the start, but probably split carries with Jordan Mason if CMC doesn't go. Hopefully you've got one of those guys on your roster so you can plug him in, or maybe you've got Alexander Madison if you need to pivot off of McCaffrey.
Well, there's your fantasy forecast for Week 7. Thorough, as always. Let's go to the Superdome in New Orleans. Frank Frangie joining us now from the broadcast booth. He'll have the call of the game coming up at 8:15 tonight. The Jaguars and the Saints. Trevor Lawrence has the green light. He is a go for tonight. How limited will he be, Frank?
Yeah, that's the good news. Hello, JP, to you and Mike. And the good news is he's going to play. You've got to believe, and we're guessing here, JP, that you got to believe that the game plan will reflect the fact that he's got a sore knee, whether that means some quick game, get the ball out quick, whether it means run the ball more. There's only so many things you can do differently, but I wouldn't expect to see a lot of naked bootlegs or RPOs or the kind of things that have been part of the offense with him in it. I wouldn't think you'd see that today, JP. I would imagine it would be more vanilla than that.
Yeah, you probably won't call that stuff, Frank, but as we all know, the best laid plans go awry once the ball is snapped. And I wonder if we'll see Trevor Lawrence, did he have it beat into him to protect himself, to go down if he gets in one of those kind of scramble drill situations and he's in the midst of a lot of defensive bodies? Will he be a little more cautious tonight?
Here's my thought on that, because, yes, I've got to believe part of the conversation all week long between Doug and Mike McCoy and Press and Trevor's, listen, you got to protect yourself here. You're playing hurt a little bit. So chances you would take, he's a bold player. He's a courageous player, but chances you would take, you can't take tonight. So my guess is, Mike, through quarters 1, 2, and 3, you're probably going to be okay there. But to your point, 17-17, 4 minutes left in the game, and you got to make a play, then I think Trevor's a player, and he's a baller. And so I think where that rears its head in a crucial situation later in the game, be careful. But I would think Trevor's going to be careful tonight.
Frank Frangie from the Superdome in New Orleans. Jaguars defense third in the league against the run, number 1 in takeaways. How does that trend continue tonight?
Here's the deal. I don't think the Saints are very good on offense. I think that's kind of the thing, JP, is you've played very good defense. Maybe the story of the season is that this defense has been way better than people expected it to be. And you're playing a struggling offense. They haven't found their rhythm with Derek Carr. Both offensive tackles, both would-be starting offensive tackles for the Saints aren't going to play in this game. And they're in one of those funks. We've all seen it when you can't get out of it, and the media is all talking about it, and the fans are talking about it, and the play calling, and the quarterback, and is he the right guy, and does he fit the team? Those funks teams get in. Offensively, JP, the Saints are really in that, and that'll benefit the Jags, who've played very well defensively.
Yeah, and Frank, I think, too, I talked about this today. I think the defense has the mindset tonight that we're going to shut this team out. Now, granted, I don't expect them to get a shutout. It's tough to do in the NFL, but I think that's going to be what they're thinking. Hey, our quarterback is not himself. We may have to go to the backup at some point, maybe not, but this is on us to win this football game. They played exceptionally well this year, but I think they're really going to take that approach that they can allow nothing tonight, and if they don't, then the Saints can't beat them.
Yeah, that's right, and that's the complimentary football you're talking about, Mike. Their guys down, we got to play a little bit better. I agree with that. The only concern I've got is that the drop-off from Tyson Campbell to whoever plays in his stead. I think it'll start with Monteric Brown, as JP was saying a minute ago. You guys were talking about that. Devon Campbell probably plays if needed, but it's going to be Monteric Brown to start the game. That's the biggest concern. They've got good receivers. Michael Thomas is a big physical veteran guy. Chris Olave is a younger, faster guy. They're good players. And if Derek Carr gets protected and he finds those guys, that concerns me because the Jags don't have Tyson Campbell. But I agree with your point. I think the defense knows quarterback's wounded. We got to play better than ever, and that's our goal.
All right, Frank, have a fantastic call from basically the ceiling of the Superdome. You might as well be on an airplane.
We are way up here, JV. Thanks, buddy.
There's Frank Frangie from the Caesars Superdome, and it is at the very top of the upper deck is where the radio booths are. Hey, it's a fantastic venue, classic venue, and a rowdy venue, certainly for Thursday Night Football tonight. The Jaguars and the Saints coming up at 8:15 Eastern Time kickoff from New Orleans, where the Jaguars have never won in the regular season. They've never won in the Superdome.
Trevor Lawrence's 2 collegiate losses came in that building.
Yeah, that's absolutely true.
It's a fact. I didn't make it up.
Yeah, Travis Etienne as well.
No doubt.
They didn't win much there.
No, but hey, it all changes tonight.
Tonight, the voodoo is reversed tonight in New Orleans as the Jaguars and Saints are ready to kick it off in about an hour and 15 minutes or so. We'll have Thursday Night Football. Jaguars Radio Network coverage is next with Countdown to Kickoff. We'll hear from Fred Taylor. We'll hear from Jaguars head coach Doug Peterson, the final word before kickoff. The Jags and the Saints coming up. This has been the Publix Tailgate Show on Jaguars Radio.